now teams and schools are sitting out there wondering where do they fit or if they fit into the equation. Alphabetically, let's start with the Crimson Tide of Alabama. Coach Avery Johnson gets the Tide back into the tournament for the first time since 2012. Out of the Pac-12, the Sun Devils of Arizona State started the year going 12-0, finished with a mark of 20-11. From the Southeastern Conference, the Razorbacks of Arkansas, Coach Mike Anderson, one of 4 coaches with 15 or more years of experience and no losing seasons. From Auburn University, the Tigers are in the tournament. Mike Pearl's team returns to the NCAA Tournament for the first time since '03, and somewhere Charles Barkley is smiling. In the Big East, the Butler Bulldogs, a 4th straight NCAA Tournament appearance. The Bulldogs come in at 20-13 on the year. From the ACC, the Clemson Tigers, their first appearance since 2011. The Tigers won a school record 11 conference games. Ernie.
All right, thank you very much, Greg. Let's move on for another 6 on this side of the stage and start with the Blue Jays of Creighton out of the Big East for Coach Greg McDermott. They beat Villanova when they were ranked number 3 this year, the highest-ranked opponent Creighton has ever beaten. Hey, look who made the field. Duke out of the Atlantic Coast Conference. 34th tournament appearance for Coach K. The Florida Gators out of the SEC, 20-12. A very popular choice here in our Atlanta studio. The Seminoles of Florida State out of the ACC had 6 quadrant 1 wins. That was a big factor for the committee this year. Houston Cougars out of the American Athletic are an at-large team. They had a tough game today against Cincinnati, and it's a photo opportunity for the Cougars, making their first appearance since 2010. Kelvin Sampson has taken 4 programs now to the big dance. Kansas State Wildcats making consecutive NCAA tournament appearances under Bruce Weber, Dean Wade, and Barry Brown. Check them out. They're the guys who carry the Cats. As we get you back to Greg. Greg.
In mind, these are alphabetical listings, so if we're at the M's, you'll notice Louisville is not included, so the Cardinals are not in the NCAA tournament this year. The Miami Hurricanes, however, are out of the ACC. Coach Jim Laranaga's team, a 3rd straight, and they finished the season at 22-9. The Spartans of Michigan State, coached by Tom Izzo, it's 21 straight tournament appearances. For Tom Izzo, they win the Big Ten regular season title. Moving on, out of the Southeastern Conference, the Tigers of Missouri at 20-12. 12 wins better than they were a season ago. Moving on, from the Atlantic Coast Conference, the Wolfpack of North Carolina State. They return to the tournament after a 2-year absence, and 21-11 on the season. The Wolfpack of Nevada. A lot of Wolfpacks around these days. Be careful out and about. Mountain West team, coached by Eric Musselman, the Mountain West Coach of the Year, and the Tar Heels of North Carolina. From the Atlantic Coast Conference, Roy Williams looking to become the 11th coach in NCAA history to appear in 3 straight Final Fours. Ernie.
Thank you, Greg. And because we are going alphabetically, Notre Dame next or not? The answer is not. We are going to the O's, as Notre Dame does not make it. Ohio State does out of the Big Ten. Chris Holtman, a great first year. Buckeyes are loving it. After a 2-year absence, they're back in the dance. Would Oklahoma make it? Yes, they will. Out of the Big 12, 18-13. They do boast the great freshman Trae Young. They stumbled down the stretch, but the Sooners do get in with an at-large berth. From the Big East, the Friars of Providence and head coach Ed Cooley reaching the Big East Tournament Championship game where they fell and where he split his pants and covered himself up with a towel. Hopefully that will not happen in the tournament. The Big Ten Purdue Boilermakers of coach Matt Painter. 4th straight NCAA tournament appearance. Watch out for Carson Edwards. He can really do it. The Rhode Island Rams out of the Atlantic 10 are in there under head coach Danny Hurley, who was the A-10 coach of the year. They lost to Davidson today, which kind of messed things up for some teams on the bubble. We'll get into that later. Seton Hall Pirates are also in there out of the Big East. Their third straight 20-win season under head coach Kevin Willard. So Seton Hall is in. Back to you, Greg.
All right, Ernie, home stretch time now. Which teams are in, which teams are not on the board. We'll tell you who is. Atlantic 10's Bonnies of St. Bonaventures. The Bonnies 25-7 on the year. They're there, and so are the Syracuse Orange. Out of the Atlantic Coast Conference, Jim Boeheim, his 33rd NCAA Tournament appearance. Out of the Big 12, the Horned Frogs of TCU check in with a 21-11 mark. The Tennessee Volunteers, a terrific season. Out of the SEC, they come back to the NCAA Tournament first time since 2014. Out of the Big 12, the Texas Longhorns are there. Second NCAA Tournament as the Longhorns head coach for Coach Shaka Smart. And out of the Southeastern Conference, the Aggies of Texas A&M. They opened the season 11-1. The 9-4 finish in the regular season propelled them to the NCAA Tournament. And with that, those are your at-large bids from over here.
And I'll take the last group over here, Greg, and we'll stay in the Lone Star State with the Red Raiders of Texas Tech out of the Big 12. Their most wins since 1996 as they go 24-9 under Chris Beard. The Bruins of UCLA out of the Pac-12 and head coach Steve Alford, led by Aaron Holiday, the Pac-12's leading scorer. Out of the Atlantic Coast Conference, the Virginia Tech Hokies. There's Buzz's bunch. Back-to-back appearances for the first time since 85-86. Out of the Big 12, watch this team, the West Virginia Mountaineers of head coach Bob Huggins. West Virginia lost in the Big 12 tournament title game to Kansas, but gave Virginia one of its 2 losses this year. Out of the American Athletic, Wichita State under head coach Greg Marshall. 25-win season for the 9th straight time. Only Duke, Kansas, and Gonzaga can share that claim. And here's our last team, the Musketeers of Xavier out of the Big East. Its first #1 seed in school history for that team, led by Trayvon Blewett. And Greg, I'm looking at my watch. I said we'd have the entire field in the first 10 minutes. It's more like 13 minutes. My bad.
Never been a man of your word, have you?
There you go. Thank you.
All right. Now you know. All 68 teams. Question now, who's playing whom and who are the last 4 in and the first 4 out? First, here are the bids by conference. And the ACC leads the way with 9 teams. The SEC right behind them with 8. The Big 12 has 7 teams, and the Big East with 6 teams. Coming up next on the NCAA Selection Show, lots of anxious coaches, players, and fans waiting to see where they're headed. We'll break it all down next.